Okay, Rebecca, so this took me like 3 hours to figure out. So that's why I'm making you your own personal movie because I'm like, okay, after all this time, there's no way I'm gonna let this not work. So, okay. So I was just testing yours. This is my stuff, so I was kind of looking at yours versus mine. And your script is actually all right. I think it had to do with a couple of mistakes with the build, the design of it, and just the publish settings. So what I did was, well, let me first show you. So you can see I changed the font here. And when I click, I changed the font there. There was something wrong with that Bodoni 72 that you used, and it just wasn't coming out right. That was the very last step that I did because it still wasn't working. And I was like, okay, it was coming out like gibberish. So I think it had something to do with that font. So anyway, make sure when you are embedding your fonts, so when you come over here, I made sure these weren't overlapping, and made sure this is dynamic and this is dynamic. But you had like Bodoni 72 regular for up here, and then this was Bodoni 72 bold. And so for each different type of font, like this is Calibri regular. If I were to use Calibri light or italic somewhere in there, I would still have to embed that version of the font as well. So that was one of the problems, and that's where that embed error was still coming through. So I will show you, let's see if I have a... Okay, let me just show you. I'm gonna save that. And then that's the fixed version. I'll take that out. And I think I have your original version here. Okay, so we're gonna just kind of start from scratch. Okay, so the questions.json file needed to be edited too. It had just some weird errors in it. I'll show you that in a second. So this is, I'm just going to call this, oops, sorry. When I open this in Adobe Edge Code, see how it's all orange? That's because I fixed a bunch of stuff. So let me just rename this and do fixed so I can use it later. So I'm just trying to take us back to square one. All right, so here were your questions, so you can see what that looks like. Okay, so when I went into questions, you can see in Adobe Edge Code there were a lot of black font instead of orange. And so if you do Command plus, now you could be using whatever code editor you want, but you can see that there's like these straight quotations and then these curly quotations. And I'm not sure how that happened or why it happened, but you'll see them in here and that's what's causing it. And sometimes it doesn't even cause it to turn black, but it will mess it up. So what I want you to do is come through here and just retype any of those curly quotes. And I think that's the only thing that was wrong with this one, but you really have to check and see because some of them won't turn a different color. So it's fine where it says clouder here, but it's not fine when it's like actual part of the code. So let's see, there's a ton of other ones, but well, you get the point of it. So I'm going to go ahead and say don't save, and I'm going to move that one back out. Call this one questions. Okay. So if I open this up at this point, you'll see it's all orange. It's all been fixed. So then we're good to go. All right. So in the actual build, let's unlock a bunch of these. So one of the things, the null thing that was happening is because it couldn't find something called true BTN. And that's because that you didn't put an instance name for this one. The instance name for it is supposed to be true, lowercase true, and then BTN. And then its symbol name, if we come over here, right click and choose rename, should be true button. Well, and we can capitalize that, but true button. Okay. Then I can tell from the dashed lines that this is dynamic text and it shouldn't be. So let's go into properties and do static. Okay. And then also notice that you don't have an over or down state. So that is one thing that I will take points off of, is it has to have some kind of rollover functionality. So again, double click in here, change this to static text because it doesn't do anything. It just is a part of that button. So, and then you have this overlapping text here and you don't want that to happen. So fixing that. And then again, just for me, I just chose something really generic and easy, not Callisto, Calibri. So you might test it with Bodoni and embedding that just to see. But when you embed, I just click all and do Calibri and bold so that I know it's the bold version of that font. And then this, I'm going to rotate and then click off and make it so I don't, when things overlap, they could cause problems. So again, that Bodoni 72 could be causing problems. So I'll just do Cooper and make it a little bit smaller. It's not necessary for it to be small, but I didn't know if it was like just too big for the space, and that's why it wasn't showing up. So this is Cooper Black. So again, I'm going to have to embed and call this Cooper Black. And then click OK. And this should be dynamic. This should be dynamic. Each one of these, you can uncheck the selectable box. And I'm not sure where the error was, so I'm just trying to fix everything I can in here, and it worked. So now I'm going to make you fix everything in here. So sorry about that. I know you probably don't have a lot of time for this, but okay. Question text, instance name, status message, instance name, true button, false button, sweet. Okay. So com.RebeccaKelly.quizgame, that looks good. Let's go ahead and save this and open up your quizgame.as. And again, you have your domain, well, fake domain or real domain. Everything looked really good in here. And then I'm trying to remember everything. I think everything really looked good in all of these. So great job with that, because that's usually where the error comes from, which is why it was taking me forever, because I'm not used to this. So, okay. So then the other thing I did was file Air 23.0 for Android settings. So all of these options, and part of it is making sure it's going to the right output file. So see, it's going to volumes, RK. So this was keeping the file name of wherever it is on your computer. So that was just throwing stuff off for me. So you just have to make sure that it's going to where you want it to go. So in my mind, I just choose again. So just to make sure. So I'm going to my desktop and choose your folder and then click save. And then you want to have this error ID should be com.RebeccaKelly.quizApp, and make sure it's not quiz, whatever this was called, quiz game. So a lot of people do that and then it gets confused because there's two names. So ARM, CPU, portrait. Sorry, I feel like I'm going to get like hiccups or something. So deployment, we need to change the certificate. So I'm just going to create it. So Rebecca Kelly, MGD 143, your home college, whatever it is, and this password is animation. You can make whatever password you want, but then I won't know what it is, so I won't be able to use it. So just make sure you use password. So then we want to save into the same folder and click save. So they're all going to the same place, and click OK. So it says a self-signed certificate has been created. Awesome. We put the animation password and then click remember, and device release, get airtime. The icons, you were supposed to have icons. You didn't put the icons folder in here. You can still publish without them, but that is something that will take off points. So just so you know, and I gave it in the student data files, so you should be able to get them there. So permissions, we don't need to worry about that. And then languages, make sure it's English. All right. So, and that was all in the assignment instructions. So just make sure you have those all set. So I think part of it was the build of the design, the embedding of the font, the mistakes on the JSON file, and then finally this one is just making sure that it's all going to that same project folder. So hopefully, fingers crossed, click OK. Oops, I didn't mean to click OK. File, air, publish. Okay, so this gives you a warning that just says that it was created successfully, but permission requirements, and that's because we didn't check anything for those permissions, but that's fine. So we'll go ahead and click OK and OK. And then we'll come in here and double click your Swift Woohoo! Yay. So it's asking us, I want to see, is this true? So yes, this should have a rollover. Just, yeah, we already talked about that, but wrong. Oh, god dang it, I'm wrong. Okay. Cats can live to be over 20. I know that's true. True. Aha. Huh. Huh. Okay. Sweet. I'm awesome at cats. So, all right. So I think it's working. So it had nothing to do with your script. That was awesome. And I'm glad we got to figure it out. So I'm sorry that this is the longest video ever, but great job with the design. I love this logo.